Levels is good. Levels is good. Daily Go Getimism show, baby. Friday, y'all made it. Y'all made it. I made it. We made it. We here together, and everything is gonna be all right. Everything is gonna be all right. Thank you. Won't everything is gonna be okay. We do it at night. Yo, go to the break of day. So tonight on the Daily Go Getimism show, y'all know it's music night. Yeah, you know it's music night. I gave you fair warning. Everything should be good tonight. Everything should be loved tonight. Y'all know we look forward to these Friday nights. We have a lot of fun. We talk about music. And we are in the middle of doing a series. And the series is called Paying Homage. Homage series. So last week we did the West Coast. So we talked about West Coast music, West Coast artists, West Coast styles, music or whatever. And we talked about, a lot about their artists and their artistry and what they brought to the table, what they introduced to the music scene and what they gave us. Their contribution could not be discounted. This week, we are talking about the Dirty South. Now, last week, I asked everybody who was on the show who we should do this week. So everybody, the overwhelming majority that was left over, they said, do the Dirty South, do the Dirty South. I said, okay. All right. I thought they would have said, do the East Coast or maybe the Midwest. I don't know. To be honest with you, I wouldn't expect anybody to say I'm do the Midwest. But when we do the Midwest, that's going to be an interesting series. That's going to be an interesting installment. But we talking about the Dirty South. Now, when you start talking about the Dirty South, if you're only talking about hip hop, I can see how you would be limited into what you might be thinking that we're going to talk about. But when you really think about the South as far as what it has given to American pop culture and the world, then the South is exactly where you want to be. I mean, think about it. The Dirty South, we are talking about Mississippi. And what are we talking about when we talk about Mississippi? We're talking about blues. We're talking about jazz. Wait a minute. Let me check this. Let me check this out with jazz. Let me find out exactly where jazz came from, because I'm not so sure about that one. But I know that blues and rock and roll came out of the South. That I'm not on the fence about. What region of the country did jazz originate from?
Jazz originated in the American South, specifically in New Orleans, Louisiana, during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It grew out of the African American community, blending a rich mix of cultures, traditions, and sounds.
So, jazz came out of the South, but it wasn't Mississippi. It was Louisiana. So, hey, where would where would the world be musically had it not been for jazz? Jazz, when jazz came out, it was controversial like rock and roll. So imagine what it was like when rock and roll came out. So we had the blues, then we had jazz, then we had rock and roll. All of these musical forms, American forms of music that went around the world internationally, came from the South. We have the South to give. So it wasn't always New York, and it wasn't always the big city that was spearheading or developing or creating the best sounds in music or best styles or creating genres. It was the South, the American South, particularly Black Americans. They did it. Now, did they profit off of it? That's another conversation for another day. But that we created it. It was created down south. And so we can't even front on that. So let me make sure about rock and roll. I am pretty sure about rock and roll. What region of the United States was rock and roll created?
roll was created in the southern and midwestern regions of the United States. Emerging in the late 1940s and early 50s across multiple vibrant hubs, the style grew out of African American musical traditions like rhythm and blues, gospel, and the blues.
Okay. So Memphis, Tennessee, the Mississippi Delta, Cleveland, Ohio, and cities of the Midwest. Fine. So we got ourselves a show. We got ourselves a show. We got ourselves a question. We got ourselves an answer. We have ourselves a dialogue. We have ourselves a conversation. We are paying homage to the Dirty South. The Dirty South. Now it looks like in hip hop, the South was the last to get their flowers. But in American pop culture, it was the first. The South was the first to get their flowers. And it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Just like things grow down South, controversial things come out of the South. And evidently, some good things grew from down there. So that's what we're talking about tonight on the Daily Go-Gettemism Show. Yeah, man. You know what? I feel like I'm starting off cold. So I need to warm up a little bit. Let me get my drum. Warm up a little bit. Let me get my drum. 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 We gonna get my drum. We're gonna get my drum. It's the daily to get my drum. It's the Daily Go-Gettemism Show. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What? Yeah. Tonight we talking about the Dirty South. Yeah, how they really used to turn it out. But we gonna get ours. We gonna talk about them Southern stars. Now, what comes to your mind when we think about the South? What groups came out there and turned it out? Where your favorites at? Yo, where they play at? Everything is gonna work out fine, but we gotta pay attention to the time. In American history, yo, it came to be the best things we ever really heard. Yo, whether you was a scholar or a nerd or a street person, yo, they're rehearsing. Who came from the Dirty South? James Brown. Who came from the Dirty South? Temptations. Now you might say Temptations was in Motown, which is true, but they originated from the South, Alabama. So you gotta remember the Great Migration. Blacks coming from the South, trying to escape all that Jim Crow. Yeah. So I guess with all that oppression and all that, somehow good new music came out of that. Dirty South, baby. And it's funny how I didn't even talk about country and Western music. I'm sure that had to come from the South, right? I wish it would have stayed there. Where my country music fans at, though? Because it ain't all that bad. Country music is really just a blend of a certain style of blues and jazz. You got rock and roll country, too. We blend, we mix it in. Yeah. the like button, y'all. Don't be stingy. I know we starting out light, but we gonna get it right. Dirty South, baby. All right, so let's get it popping. Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this your daily. It's the Daily Go Get Mism Show. You think it ain't when it is? You think it won't when it is? We are here and we are in motion. We do this thing, taking off fast lane, no coasting, and everything is gonna be all right. We talking about the Dirty South music tonight. Everything is gonna be all right. We're gonna talk about Dirty South today. I said everything is gonna be okay. We're gonna talk about the Dirty South, the way they play. I said everything is gonna turn out fine. We're gonna go for yours, you go for mine. Sun always shines just like the big ball of fire, and it never expires. As long as we here, it's gonna keep giving us heat. As long as I'm here, I'm gonna keep giving you the beat. And we gonna have this talk, me and you. But we ain't in trouble. You understand the words coming out my dome, but we gonna make sure that originality shown. What's going on with your team? Is everybody on the same thing? You know what I mean? What I mean is, are we on the same page? Can we turn that thing play? The way we want to play, I say what I want to say. You do the same too. Yo, when it comes to how we play this game, we gonna make sure that we put your name through. Everybody gotta get recognized. I'm talking to the girls, I'm talking to the guys. I realize that the way to be is a team oriented type of thing, and we will be the best thing that you ever saw. Yo, make sure that we ball until we fall. I stand tall, tall as a tree, tall as a giant. I got sometimes get crazy, a little defiant when I don't feel like I'm being heard, but hey, this is gonna be all right, and that's my word. All right, so look, I'm gonna put my drum away, and we're gonna go ahead and have this conversation. Let's do it. Let's do it. You know what I mean? We waited long enough. I've been waiting all day. We made it, baby. Friday. Finally made it. Barcelona, what's good? Friday, baby. You know, it's the summer. Yo, this is the last day of July. Technically, it's after 12 o'clock on the East Coast. So it's the first day of August. You know, the first day of August, man. Now, in a lot of states, in August, they start going back to school. And even in Pennsylvania now, it didn't used to be that way. Nobody in the Philadelphia school system used to go back to school until after Labor Day. So you had the whole entire summer to be off. You wouldn't get out until June, and you would be out until September. Now they have different like charter schools, and not all public schools go back at the same time. But you know, when August hits, if you're in college, most colleges go back in August. So, you know, y'all might only have a couple of weeks left, man. You know what I mean? Summer is over for y'all, but we still here. And we are in motion. We do this thing, taking off fast lane, no coasting. So we talking about the Dirty South tonight, man. What do y'all know about the Dirty South? What do you know? What do you know about Southern music? What their contribution is? You know what I mean? Where my people from the South? Where my people from the South, man? If you are below, I'm going to say below Maryland. Because I think Maryland is like the Mason-Dixon line. I think some Maryland, Missouri, it's like right there in the middle. Some people try to say like Delaware is the South. I'm like, what? Just because it's small, just because didn't a lot of people, there aren't a lot of people that live in Delaware. I'll tell you who lives in Delaware. People who got tired of living in Philadelphia who wanted to live out in the burbs. A lot of black, affluent people moved to Delaware. If you really got money, you move to Jersey. But that's a lot more expensive. Delaware doesn't have taxes. It's a tax-free state. So as a shopper or a consumer, I always hesitate to use the word consumer because my dad didn't like the word. He kind of turned me against the word. Like, a consumer is something that uses up everything. I ain't no consumer. He used to feel some kind of way about like, don't call me no consumer. I'm a giver. I don't use up everything. I give back. I'm a producer. So I always looked at the word consumer. But as far as being a shopper, a person that buys things, Delaware is the place to go, especially if you want to buy like a car. You have to pay the taxes and titles on a car, but in Delaware you don't. Ain't no taxes. Whatever it says on that sticker, that's what you pay. That's it. That's it. Nothing extra. So large items where if you bought them in your state, or particularly like your city, like in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia has a higher sales tax than the rest of the state. Like we're New York now. We're New York now. No, we're not. It's not fair. But that's politics. We don't have to get into politics. We are talking about the dirty South. What do y'all know about music coming from the South? Well, like I said, jazz comes from the South. Blues come from the South. Rock and roll comes from the South. So the musical foundation of American music, or should I say the foundation of American music, comes from the South. So, when you talk about R&B, if you talk about rock music, if you're talking about jazz, a lot of cats, when they get a little older, they get a little bit more mature. They want to listen to jazz. A lot of people like to start their newborn babies out, listening to smooth jazz. Like, yeah, I want my babies to be cultured. I'm like, oh, give me a fucking break. Jazz music used to be considered devil's music. Can you imagine that? It did. It used to be called like considered the devil's music. Christians used to be against some jazz. We can't even imagine that. So, things change. Things change as they start to develop, as we start to get more information, and as more people start to participate, we start to get a different look at the way that we think about things or whatever. But like I said, the rock foundation, I don't mean rock music, but I do mean rock and roll. All of that stuff, all of those things come from the South. The dirty South had it going on. So what groups, what artists come to your mind, past and present, when we start talking about the South? What does the South mean to you musically? Like, if you are from the East Coast, when it comes to hip hop, you may not like the South. You might think like, the South is okay, but But then again, you may like the South. A lot of people like the crunk thing, the bounce thing, the well, let's see, Atlanta, they had the snap thing. Or whatever. But one thing about the South is that you can never discount their contribution. So no matter who is doing what at the time, the South always has a piece of it because they are the foundation. So it makes sense when you say like the South will rise again. Well, we ain't talking about the Confederacy, but we are talking about, or we could be talking about their we could be talking about their creativity or their contribution. Carla, what's going on, my? Good to see me some you always, every day. Good to see me some you. You said, son, where the world at? I don't know. The world is in disarray. It's in disarray. But how do you escape temporarily from the disarray of the world? You put some music on. For me, I go get a nice pair of headphones and zone out. Noise canceling headphones. Like, I don't want to hear nothing else. I'm going to listen to what I want to listen to the way I want to listen to it. And that's going to be that. We going to get it popping. But yeah, man, if we're talking about the South, what are we talking about? What groups do you know? What groups have you listened to over your lifespan have come from the South? Do you appreciate the South? Like, do we really think about the South when we start thinking about modern music? Most of the, I don't know, all of it, all of the foundational music forms, music genres of American music came from the South. We talking about jazz. We talking about blues. We talking about, I was about to say hip hop. Like, nope. Not yet. That doesn't come from the South. But we are talking about jazz. We are talking about blues. We are talking about country music. And we're talking about rock and roll. Came from the South. Ain't no way around it. Ain't no way you can get past it. It came from the South. So without those forms of music, I don't see how we get to any of the modern genres of music today. Where would we be musically if it wasn't for jazz and the blues? We don't always look at sad songs that we might listen to as being the blues, but that's exactly what it is. That's what it was, and that's what it is. So we have a problem with it's funny how we'll take like a blues sounding song like oh, my baby done left me, and I don't know why. When I think about her, makes me wanna cry. Why did she do me like that? I wouldn't do it to her. This is the worst thing in my life that ever could occur. I mean, it's just blues music. You know what I mean? Coming from the soul, coming from your heart. But is all blues music sad? I don't think so. I think that most blues music has a message. Normally a strongly worded message or a strongly felt type of message or feeling to it. Carla says the South was more of a struggle and music was their happy place. Yeah, that sounds about right. You might think about some of your ancestors that came from the South And, they might talk about the juke joints that they had in them backwater. A juke joint wasn't nothing but a bar. It wasn't nothing but a bar club. But it was a club, back in the woods where it wasn't mainstream. But it was a place where a bunch of people who looked like you, talked like you, walked like you, acted like you, lived like you would go and drink and dance and congregate and have fun. And then after the weekend was done or whatever, you went back to work, just like any other place. So you could call it you can call it juke joint a club. You can call it a speakeasy. You could call it a whole lot of things. There was food. There was alcohol. There was dancing. There was romancing. Sounds like a club to me. Leave your. My mom always talks about how my grandfather would get dressed up because he was a real sharp dresser. Used to wear suits and all of that shit. So he would go throw his shit on, go to juke joint, come home all drunk, and get to arguing with my grandmother and all of that. Yeah, I guess I come from a little bit of toxicity. I come from toxicity, but they stayed together. It definitely was till death do them part. For better or for worse. Yeah, I would say that it was for better or for worse. Now, I did live to see my grandmother alive. She didn't pass until 2001. But my grandfather, I never met him because he passed, I think in 69, before I was born. I never met him. And he never got a chance to meet me either. But the stories don't die. And just like stories don't die, memories don't die, neither does the music. The music and the feelings, they stay alive as well. A little house party. They were turned up though. Mm-hmm. I went to a few of them, and boy, oh boy, really now? Yeah, because you down south for real. And the state of South Carolina got a lot of stories to tell, a lot of black stories in South Carolina. But without a doubt, that is the South. That is the South. So you visit. I haven't spent a lot of time in South Carolina. I've spent a considerable amount of time in North Carolina because that's where my family is from. But they didn't cross that border a lot. And yeah, people from North Carolina think they're better than people from South Carolina. They do. There's no way around it either. You know what I mean? They try to act like, nah, it's just Carolina. Yes, yeah. And people from North Carolina think they're better than South Carolina. Black and white. I go figure. I don't know what that's about. And you would think that South Carolina would think that they're a little bit better because they got palm trees. Like South Carolina is the real South. You know what I mean? That's the deeper South. You get into the warmer weather. It stay warm longer. The nights with daylight savings time are a little bit longer. And South Carolina. So when it starts to get cool in North Carolina and South Carolina, it's still a little bit warmer. So they got about South Carolina is attached to Georgia. And Georgia is a little bit farther south than South Carolina. Till you eventually get to Florida. It don't get no hotter than Florida. Not from what I know. And Carla said, yeah, you right, son. They definitely did. They do. And my dad was from North Carolina. You couldn't tell him nothing. But he did not talk favorably about nobody from South Carolina. Like, South Carolina? No, we ain't from there. Geechee ass. I was like, Dad, slow down. He wouldn't go in. My dad wasn't a gossiper or, he didn't like really talk down on people, but he lets you know where he stood. He said shit like, the most educated, the best slaves came out of North Carolina. Like we could read, write, count. I was like, so you sure they couldn't do none of that in South Carolina? He was like, they wasn't. He like North Carolina and Virginia is where the best slaves were. You know, we was refined slaves. We was bougie. I mean, he used to talk like that. He didn't use the word bougie, but you know where he was. You understood where he was coming from. I'm like, did y'all get free before they did? That's what I'm thinking. Like, did y'all, get up off of the foundation faster? Like, did they have a different kind of Jim Crow in South Carolina than they had in North Carolina? Carla says North Carolina act a little uppity. I mean, they do. I don't know. South Carolina may be better living than North Carolina, because North Carolina, it's kind of boring if you ask me. A little bit whack. I don't like it. But then again, I don't know if I could ever live in the South anywhere. Now, maybe I haven't spent enough time in enough places in the South to say that, but recently I had a chance to get a job down in Virginia Beach, and they was really trying to get me to come down there, and I was like, that would be a no. Now, even though it's only Virginia and it's on the coast, because it was in not Virginia Beach, but Norfolk, which is spelled Norfolk, but they say Norfolk. And I know how they say it, because I had some school chums that a bunch of people from my high school went to Norfolk. And Norfolk State University, black school down there in Virginia. And Norfolk is about only a few miles, only maybe 25, 30 miles from Virginia Beach. So you got Norfolk, Newport News, what's the other one? Start with a P. Start with a P. Down in Virginia. It's not coming to me right now. But anyway, all of those towns around there, they like coastal areas. And I was like, man, well, the thing that turned me off the most was they wasn't paying enough money. I'm like, I ain't going out there. Like, y'all need to, for me, I would have to live down there. I can't commute. It's a 6-hour ride or something like that. Only been to Virginia Beach once. And I remember it was a good ride. And this is when we was young. So, we was stepping on it. So I think it took us at least 5-6 hours to get there. So yeah, I would have to live down there. And, I'm like, y'all need to get the paper right. They didn't get the paper right. I didn't really want to move down there anyway, but I had a chance, and that would have officially had me living in the South. And I was like, the South, huh? My brother Troy.
Brother Nubsy. Assalamu alaikum, praise Jesus, blah, blah, all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you good, man? Everything all right?
Man, hey, as long as I get to make me an oxygen sandwich with extra mayo, tomatoes, lettuce, and pickles, and onions, oil, oregano, oxygen sandwiches be good. Oxygen and cheese.
Oxygen and cheese. Okay, yeah. You gotta air it out sometime. What's up, Marvina, Big B? What's up, Marvina and Izzy? How y'all feeling, man? Thanks for coming through. I appreciate y'all. All right, we dragging our feet a little bit on this. We supposed to be talking about. We got a pay your homage series going on. So last week we did the West Coast, and it was requested that we do the Dirty South this week. So we doing the Dirty South. So, as you may be aware of, the South is the foundation of American modern music. You know what I mean? They created blues, jazz, and rock and roll and country music. So the South really, set the stage for all music, past and present in the United States, and that went all around the world. And it's funny how you don't really think about the South as being in the forefront today, but think about the people, the superstars, and I mean superstars that came from that really became famous 60, 70 years ago. A lot of them were from the South. So we can't discount that. I mean, Elvis, even though, Tennessee and Kentucky, they some strange states, because I'm like, that's the real South. Like, it ain't all that Southern. You know what I mean? Like, for example, Tennessee borders on Ohio. I'm like, Ohio? That shit is Midwest all day. That ain't the South. So how can a southern state border on a Midwestern state that's known for being cold? And it definitely snows in Tennessee. But they say they're the South. Half of the state is East Coast time. The other half is Midwest, well, Central Standard Time. But anyway, so Elvis Presley came from what was it? Memphis, right?
Yeah. Tennessee.
Yeah, it came from Memphis, Tennessee. So, hey, I mean,
he was nothing but a hound dog.
Well, that wasn't his song, but
yeah,
he took a lot of songs. Yo,
a lot.
I just heard some comedians say, if you watch his movie backwards, you see him giving black people all they songs and money back. I said they should have played the movie in reverse. Like that. I was like, that's crazy as hell. Yeah, man. But let's get started, man. We talk about the Dirty South. So what are your feelings about? What are your general thoughts about the Dirty South and their contribution to music overall? What would you say?
Well, I think they're the beginning of, and the foundation of all types of music. Without the South, and I mean the thing is that, in our culture we look at the South as, rap music and then the beginning stages of LaFace or Babyface and L.A. Reid. And that's where people think that a lot of music started at, but no, it has a long history of country music, Southern music. It has a long history of R&B. All genres of music starts down south. All of it.
American music, yeah.
Gospel. Gospel, yes.
Yeah, gospel.
Start down south.
Okay.
Other than the South, in order for you to really understand that, because you also got to remember, majority of the slaves came from down south. So all that good music started down south.
Yeah.
The culture started down south because of slavery. You know? So I mean you have to, there's no disputing none of that.
That's a fact. You can't deny it. Yeah. That's why it's funny, but with them having that type of impact as far as the foundation is concerned. But nowadays you don't really think about I don't know. You might think like when you think about music from the South, if you only think about hip hop, you'd be thinking like, yeah, they're not that good. Like some of them are okay, but they're not that good. And my question is, if they're not that good, then how did they get hip hop from the East Coast, Midwest, and West Coast to change their style to the Southern style of hip hop music?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So they took over. So
at some point in time, every coast that took over. You had the East Coast in the beginning, then you had the West Coast. They took over, and between all of that, the fucking South took over, and then you also got to go back to now. You got the Midwest. The Midwest took over with Chicago and Detroit. Kanye and Eminem and all that other shit, and Nelly and everybody has their every part has their their part in the culture. But when we talking about when we dig deeper into it, we have to go further back. Like we said, you mentioned Elvis, you mentioned James Brown, stuff like that. You have to go back and really understand how influential the South is in music.
Absolutely.
You can't use the 90s because everybody think, when you hear Andre 3000, one of your favorite rappers say, ain't nobody the South got something to say at the Source Awards. After they accept the awards, when he said the South got something to say, people think it starts with that. It don't start with Outkast. It don't start with T.I. It don't start with Luda. It don't start with Babyface and LaFace and L.A. Reid or none of that. It has a long history.
Wait, why do you say L.A. Why do you bring up LaFace Records?
Because LaFace Records, when you think of down south, LaFace Records is a major cog in down south music. Without LaFace Records, the South really wouldn't establish itself musical wise. It was at one point, Babyface and L.A. Reid had 8 of the 10 songs in the top 10 on the Billboard, not the regular, not just the R&B, but on the Billboard list.
Okay.
So I mean, and I'm not just talking about TLC, Usher, and all these other people. And you also got to realize Jermaine Dupri, he was a mega cog in that. So but see, when you talking about down south, you talking about blues, you talking about R&B, you talking about country. That's when you gotta go further back and bypass them and then work your way forward. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. Well, the reason I asked you why you brought up LaFace Records because they're not from the South, and most of the groups that they signed weren't from the South either. They may have went down to Atlanta to looking for opportunity, but they wasn't from the South. Outkast was.
Outkast was. TLC was a mixture. So I'm not talking about the origin. I'm talking about the music that came out. Their music came from Atlanta.
They were based in Atlanta, but I don't think that we looked at it as a Southern sound because it wasn't.
Well, son, I'm telling you, a lot of people when they talk about L.A. Reid and Babyface, they put them in the conversation of without L.A. Reid and LaFace Records, and Babyface, the South wouldn't have been where it was at. And that's what a lot of people say.
That's news to me. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard that. And it's hard for me to accept that because I'm like, because they didn't establish a Southern sound. It wasn't like, when you listen to any groups on LaFace Records, they didn't sound alike. It wasn't like, oh yeah, you know how you have like a Motown sound. You didn't have a LaFace record sound. You didn't have that. They had a mix of producers or whatever. It was just a record company. You know what I'm saying? But none of the like LaFace Records, like L.A. Reid, Babyface, and Pebbles, they not from the South. So I don't know. It's hard for me to look at them as they sign. I understand their contributions signing a lot of groups from the South, but a lot of artists that were on LaFace Records weren't from the South. They had moved to the South, and they got on from there, but they signed people who wasn't from the South as well. So it's just like with Motown. Motown was based in Detroit, but people went to Detroit to get on Motown, but they wasn't from Motown. Like the Osley Brothers wasn't from Motown. The Gladys Knight wasn't from Motown. They were, the original groups on Motown Records were from Detroit. They took a bunch of local talent, but as they started to grow, as they started to get bigger and way more influential, people went there to get signed, or however that went. So, but it still had the Motown sound. I don't remember LaFace record sound. But they didn't. None of that's. None of that shit sounded the same. So, but okay. If we talking about the dirty South, because we really dragging our feet on this. We almost an hour in. So what are we really talking about as far as the South is concerned? If we're talking about past, present, we could be talking about a whole lot of artists. You know what I mean? The James Browns, the Otis Redding, like Carla was saying, dudes like Johnny Taylor and Otis Redding didn't play, although Otis was from Tennessee, from the Tennessee side. Yeah, you know what I mean? They're like very impactful artists. So it wasn't always, and like I mentioned Elvis before, we talking about Muddy Waters. You know what I mean? It's almost limitless when you start talking about the South and their impact on pop culture and music, American music that went international. So it's funny how, if you only think about it from a hip hop standpoint, like you were saying, you're probably not going to appreciate the South as much. But when you start thinking about the opportunity for hip hop to ever even come into fruition, then you probably have to go down south. You know what I mean? Because hip hop music came from the foundation of musical genres that were already established, which were, like you said, gospel and jazz and blues, country, western, and hip hop came from out of that. Remember, hip hop used to be, they didn't even have their own sound yet. So they were just playing over funk beats and, you know what I mean? Okay. They didn't have their own sound yet. They had a style, but they didn't have their own music yet. That was on its way. And, so that foundation is still rooted in jazz, hip hop, R&B, or whatever.
And on the rock side, you got, some of the major contributors on the rock side. You have to, you got Like what you got Leonard Skinner. You know what I mean? You also got ZZ Top. You know.
No. I mean, Southern rock groups is endless. I mean, what? And Creedence Clearwater Revival. I mean, no, the South ain't skimpy, you know, when it come to rock music. But remember, rock music comes from rock and roll.
Yeah, you also got to look at some of one of the best renowned country music groups, Alabama.
You know, I started to mention them, but I said no, I'm not going to do that.
What you say?
I did. I just started to mention them, but I said nah, I'm not going to do that.
You know, Alabama was one of the the Oak Ridge Boys from down south. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's a lot of big time. You know, I mean, when people really don't understand that country music started out as black music. It was black. It was a black country music first, you know. But you know, it is in country music, like you say, it is a form of blues. It's bluesy.
That's all it is.
You know, it is also a form of rap because when you sit back and you listen to it, a lot of country music rhymes. It's a form of rap in his own way. You know. You know, it's just.
But don't all music lyrics rhyme?
Some of them, some of them rhyme. You know, you got all music. Some of them, a lot of it do, and you have some of it that don't. You know, but I'm just saying, like, when you think of country, a lot of people don't. When you think of blues, you should think of country. Because if you think of blues, country is right underneath it because they coincide with one another. It's just it's different music that goes along with it.
Country is nothing but blues music.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's like blues music with with different instruments.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You know, I mean, B.B. King. From that right down from the dirty South. You know, when you sit back and think about B.B. King, he don't even need people playing up behind him. He just play Lucille and just riff it up the whole night and sing his shit. The thrill is gone.
Well, when you start talking about B.B. King, a lot of people don't realize how famous B.B. King was around the world.
Yeah, shit.
You know, like a lot of people don't realize the impact that B.B. King, Bobby Blue Bland, and other blues musicians had, but particularly B.B. King, because all of those when the European invasion came in, they wanted to come and play with B.B. King.
Yep.
You know, that was their hero. You know what I'm saying? Like he was the absolute shit to them. And you got to think about how that goes. You know, like Rolling Stones and all that. They wanted to play with BB. Like I can't wait to jam with BB when we get to the States.
They wanted to play with BB, but they was also there with you got Billy Preston that was with the Rolling Stones.
Right.
You got Little Richard was with the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was always a mixture of black people, but they were from down south.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, when we sit back and we talk about Southern music and their history with music, it goes deeper. It goes deeper than what we think. You know, it's just the difference is that they made it a hot line. We made it a hot song. And that's why up in the East, rap music was formed and it just took over. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it blew the South out the water, but the history alone, you brought it up. It is deniable.
Undeniable.
You know what I mean? It's undeniable, yeah. You can't sit back and frown upon it. You can't sit back and say, well, Usher and this, that. No. We talking, go further back. before us, your mom and dad met.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, us, your mom and dad was in school when we talking about how good Southern music was.
I don't think that you have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. Southern music artists and Southern music or whatever music coming from the South. It doesn't have to be your favorite. You know, everybody has their own choice.
Right.
It's just that you can't deny their contribution. The problem will come if you try to deny the contribution that the South has made to American pop culture. Because just like even if you didn't see a whole lot of artists from the South, like let's say in hip hop, for example, they sure made their way back. You know what I mean? It was like you might have tried to leave them out in the beginning, but then they somehow crept in there, you know what I mean? You know, through their movements and stuff like that, and got theirs. And so now it's cemented. So even when there weren't any groups from the South really making any noise in hip hop, for example, you still had Two Live Crew. I mean, from Miami. You can't any more South, you in the water. So even though they didn't take over hip hop or whatever, but they made a hell of an impact. That's undeniable. And that was all the way in the early late 80s, early 90s or whatever. And that opened up the door for a lot of groups from the South to come in and get theirs, even if they didn't make a strong impact at first. You know, you talk about LA LaFace Records, and I'm thinking like, you mean like MC Brains? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so we might not have really appreciate them. They weren't good yet. But you also have to consider cats like Timbaland and his whole, well, no, I'm sorry. Devontae Swing and all the cats he brought from Virginia and other places in the South to come up to New York and establish a sound. So, boom, you have the South right there worming their way into a takeover. You know, so whoever's behind the music is creating the music and partially funded, maybe not partially, but you know, you had Jay Prince down in Houston. He signed a lot of groups with Rap A Lot Records. They, you know, you can't deny that. Then you had Luke Skywalker, him doing his thing. You had who was those cats in the what was they called? What was that record company that 8Ball and MJG was originally signed to? And it was some other groups that were signed there. What was that damn record company? But them, it'll come to me in a minute. So they were, you know, those record labels were signing groups. They were developing groups or whatever, and they was making their mark. So even when they weren't the biggest stars or whatever, they were still putting laying the bricks, spreading the mortar, laying another brick until after a while they had a building going on.
Right.
And that's how it go. What up, my brother Time? What's up in B2B? What up? Good to see y'all. So yeah. So you know, so let's do this. So who are some of your favorite artists from the South, past or present? Who comes to your mind? Who comes to mind when you start thinking about the South and who you like?
Well, when I think about the South, you know, I mean, we if you really want to get deep with that, and I'm not going to even go old school. The term "dirty South" came from Nelly.
Yeah, I don't know why, because that is not. They are not from the South. That's why he said country grammar. But Nelly, no, he didn't make up the dirty South though.
I mean, but no, you know,
the term the dirty South was out way before Nelly ever came through.
Yeah, some of my favorite past and present. Well, present it would be like, well, past would be like 112, Jagged Edge, TLC. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just stop right there, just in case you might want to throw some in there.
You know what I mean? There's no limit. You can say what you go ahead.
TLC, Outkast, the Dungeon Family. You know what I mean? Like I said, LaFace. Even though I can understand where you coming from with it, but when every time you speak of LaFace records, they speak of that being a focal point of the upbringing of Southern music.
Okay.
And and I mentioned Leonard Skinner, Little Richard. People don't even know Earth, Wind and Fire from down south.
Mm-hmm.
Almost
everybody was from down south.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most of them were. It took a while before the Midwest and East Coast and all of that started popping.
But see, the thing about it is that when it took a while and it exploded, then you had the Philadelphia sound. You had Philadelphia International and Motown just destroy everything, and it washed away some of that Southern shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was still there, but I mean, you got Motown, you got Philadelphia International, and that right there, them two record labels alone. When you remember back in the day, you used to get the Jet magazine, and you got all the way to the back, and you read all what's the top records in the country. You see Motown, you see Philadelphia International, all their songs. There was no other record label you can sit back and see.
Yeah.
What's some of yours?
Definitely my man Sam Cooke. Let me see. Ray Charles. For sure. Ray Charles.
Oh, shit, you gotta go Ray.
Mm-hmm. Like Carla was saying, she mentioned somebody. Let me see. Oh, David Ruffin. Yeah. Most of the Temptations was originally from
David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks was both from Alabama.
Right. So, you take both of them. I mean, those are two of the strongest voices that soul music has ever heard.
So you take them two voices out, you don't have a Temptation.
Yeah, you might just have an urging.
You might just have what?
An urging.
Yeah. You just have a temptation.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, so much good music came from out of the South, whether you're talking, because you have to think about a lot of the artists from the South that didn't get the recognition that they deserve because they got bought out. Like Elvis took so much music from Southern artists. I mean, a lot of them just don't, they never got their credit. He just remixed a whole bunch of shit, and because he was a white dude from the South, he just became he just blew up. So what can you really say? So I'm sure that there are artists that I really like that may have been from the South that I didn't even know were from the South. You know what I'm saying? But I know that you have to acknowledge the Dirty South when it comes to music, because they had so much, there was so many artists that just came from there, and we wouldn't even have the pop culture that we have to this day in the modern era if it wasn't for the South. Like B2B said, 3-6 Mafia, Project Pat, Jeezy, and Gucci was who we bumped. But I listened to everything: Outkast, Dungeon Family, Pastor Troy, a long list. Yeah. Now, as far as hip hop is concerned, one thing I always had against the South is their inability to really be lyrical. You know what I mean? But you had some cats that were very lyrical, and it was refreshing and it was surprising. When you because Scarface could be very lyrical. He dropped that shit. You know what I mean? And I would say definitely T.I., very strong lyrically. My man Ludacris, extremely strong lyrically. But there was some other artists from the South that could really drop it. It just seemed like they weren't encouraged to really drop lyrics. You know what I mean? And it's funny because even though people say that Andre 3000 is very lyrical, I don't see it and I don't accept it and I don't believe it. And, you know what I mean? I think he's ass, but I did like a Pimp C, and I do like Bun B, and there are a lot of those Texas artists. I mean, you got the DOC, very lyrical. So a lot of those cats could really hang with cats from the East Coast, but because they were spread apart and it wasn't their time, they may not have gotten that look. But we gotta be careful not to just look at hip hop when we're talking about the Dirty South, because everybody else, when it comes to R&B, when it comes to blues, when it comes to jazz and all of that's gospel, like you were saying, all of that shit came from the South, all of it. You know what I mean? You have to ask yourself, what came from the North? I mean, if it wasn't for the South, if it wasn't for jazz, blues, gospel, which when you think about it, all of that shit really overlapped. You add an instrument or subtract an instrument, and you get one or the other. Most blues songs to me could be flipped and bounced to be gospel songs if you tried. You know what I mean? You change a lyric or two. It seemed to me that's what Yolanda Adams did.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about loving a man, she was talking about loving God.
Right.
As a man. You know what I mean? I was like, interesting. It was American. It was modern R&B music. That's what it sounded like. But she said it was gospel. Okay, cool. Cool.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't always think about the South when it came to music, but once you get a little bit of education on it, you can't front on it. What up, Can You Behold? What up? Said Andre 3000 was super lyrical, but I feel you. Yeah, I mean, some people would say that Tupac was lyrical. And I'm like, just because you made a lot of songs don't mean that you was lyrical. Like, you can't compare. Like, when you compare a Tupac to Notorious B.I.G., only one of them is lyrical. And it's not even close.
Not close at all.
It's not close.
I wish they stopped saying it.
Now, when it comes to soul, when it comes to emotion, it's not close on the other side. Tupac gives you a lot more than Biggie gave you. So they both had their own thing, but when you mistake one thing for another thing, you might not get an accurate reading on what you might be trying to convey or talk about. But yeah, Muddy Howlin' Wolf. Exactly. So there are a lot of things. There are a whole lot of things you have to consider when you start talking about the Dirty South. You know, like you mentioned oh damn, motherfucker, Jagged Edge. Yeah. With Jagged Edge, that's another group that I wouldn't associate with like a Southern sound. But they don't have to be. They from where they from.
Right.
Can't change that. And you mentioned Jermaine Dupri. Jermaine Dupri did a lot for the South.
Right.
You know, so Jermaine Dupri.
At his young age.
Yeah.
He's producing at 13, 14 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Popping, locking, and producing.
Yeah.
Who does that? But he gave us Escape. All of them from Georgia. You know, his first group was Silk Times Leather.
Yeah.
Now they were terrible. But you got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? Silk Times Leather. Oh, God. Oh, man. Do you remember this? You know how when that channel, The Box, was out, they would play music that you wouldn't hear nowhere else. They had videos that you wasn't going to see played nowhere else.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this song. We like the cars that go boom. We're Tigra and Bunny, and we like the boom. I used to be like, you gotta fucking be.
That was something. I forgot the name of it. He was sisters.
We're Tigra and Bunny, and we like the boom. I'm like, hey, you know what's fucked up? The video was dope. They was just ass. Like you seeing the cars with the speakers and all. Like play whatever they playing in them cars, because it ain't this music. This music is trash. But whatever they bumping in them speakers is coming through hard. Right, Marvina, Little Richard, undeniable Little Richard. You know what I mean? Little Richard was, what up, Malu? Yeah, yeah. The South is strong musically. It's strong musically. And you know what I think is funny is that once again, if you were from anywhere except for the United States, you would be looking at Southern music like, yo, that's the shit right there. You know what I mean? But you right here in the United States, like, man, them Southern bumpkins, they don't know what the fuck they do. They don't know how to play. Yeah, they ain't got it going on. Yes, they do. Because if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be you. You know, just because you might have lived down south and then you worked your way up north or whatever, you can't leave where you come from behind. What the hell? So, wait a minute. Sarah Dwayne Cards. Free witchcraft. No. Nah. Let me get you on up out of here. I gotta time you out. Hey, you know what I mean? Put bad juju up in this motherfucker. I'm good. We good. No.
Oh my God.
You ain't gonna be like, yo, I learned, I got in touch with witchcraft through the Daily Go Get. No, you fuck didn't. Like that's not gonna happen. No, ma'am. No. You know, witchcraft though. I swear, boy, but the trolls don't give a fuck. Like, yeah. Free snakes for a revival. Free snakes and flutes for a revival. Like, nah, you know what? We just gonna do it regular tonight. No snakes for me. No, thank you. No, thank you. But yeah. So what y'all got? What y'all got in the comments? What y'all got for the Dirty South? What are y'all feelings on about the Dirty South? We paying homage. We are in the middle of a 4-part series. We're going to cover each region of the United States. Last week we did the West Coast, and y'all was real spirited. Now we doing y'all requested that we do the Dirty South this week, and y'all a little quiet. I need y'all to come to life out there. Make sure y'all hit the like button too. I know. I think people was a little tired this week, Troy. I think people worked hard this week. Yeah, you know what I mean? They might be on their last leg on this Friday.
Mm-hmm. Either that or they had a hell of a time when they came home from work.
I know.
Party.
I know I had an interesting day today. I definitely had an interesting day today. Yeah. Well, I went and got let me see. Can y'all see it? If you can see through my shirt, I got a little Band-Aid over here. Had to take a hepatitis B vaccine shot.
Oh, you had fun then. Wee.
I mean, I'm like, these vaccines, I'm like, do y'all even have a needle? How is it that it seemed like they just touch you with the jaw and it's like, all right, you done? I'm like, what happened? Like, what happened to needles? You know what I mean? Like, needles ain't needles no more.
No, they not.
You know, like, I don't know what's going on. Marvina said Etta James. Exactly.
Yeah.
At last. What was that other? Oh shit. I would say Billie Holiday, but she wasn't really from the South.
Well, I got one for you. Mahalia Jackson.
Who?
Mahalia Jackson.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Mahalia. Mm-hmm. Queen of gospel music. Yeah.
Mahalia Jackson.
You be the Imitation of Life. You ain't gonna tell me you ain't cried in the Imitation of Life when Mahalia singing.
Mahalia Jackson.
You ain't gonna tell me you ain't cried at the end of the Imitation of Life.
Listen, it was because of Mahalia Jackson that when you tried to innovate gospel music, it got hard for them to be able to do that because they kept saying no. You know, gospel music can only sound like this. It can only sound like that. But I mean, but Ray Charles had a lot to do with innovating gospel music. He got that shit off.
Yeah. I mean, he even got to the point where some people wanted to cut Ray Charles off because he kept making gospel music sound like secular music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did it on purpose.
He turned back around. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to do some secular music anyway. I got a woman way out town being good to me. Oh, yeah. You're going to tell me Ray wasn't kicking that shit.
I mean, Ray was a generational talent.
Listen, man. Between Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder did more for music blind than people did with their eyes when they can see.
I mean, that's actually true.
That's the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was actually true. But Ray did it with being blind and on drugs.
Yeah.
How the fuck did he do that shit?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, boy, the only way I can say it, and I don't even like Stephen A. Smith, but I gotta say it like he was talking about Aaron Rodgers. Ray Charles was a bad man.
Yeah, he was. And it's funny because I didn't really appreciate Ray Charles as a kid, but when you learn what a person does, then you know you can't take it away from him. But we can't forget the Godfather of Soul.
Oh, you can't. You can't. And let's think about this. Without him, majority of the beats in rap couldn't even exist. Majority of the beats in the beginning of rap music wouldn't even exist. The funky drummer came from James Brown.
Well, he definitely laid the foundation for sampling.
Yes, he did.
So he was responsible for lazy production.
That's the truth.
Now you actually had to do work before. It was like, we'll just take a piece from here and we just gonna loop this track and and not pay James Brown. Yeah, how'd that turn out? It worked for a minute. It worked for a minute, and they had to pay homage. But I mean, it's a funny thing because at the time, people was looking at James Brown like he was just hating. But when you think about it, he had already got he had got jerked from his record company shitting on him. He made his money, but definitely not as much as he should have if he knew a little bit more, had better representation and shit like that. He did a lot with very little. You know what I mean? He still had a plane and all of that shit, but imagine going through that financial ordeal and then having these young cats, just take his shit, just take a major bite out of his shit and they don't want to pay him nothing. So I understood. Like, yeah. Just don't start none, won't be none. Static!
No. Static. But the thing about it, he came up to the East to get that song made for him.
Well, with Full Force, when you think about it, you have to consider, like, if they produced his song, who's to say how much they got? You know what I mean? So it ain't like he ever had a problem producing his own shit.
That's the truth.
So I gotta sample my own shit to talk about people sampling my shit.
Yeah.
That's what we doing?
That's what we doing. I'm telling you, fucking right.
Yeah. But
James, nothing else.
But yeah, James Brown definitely represented the South, and it really don't get no better than him. So, but hold on, where was Jackie Wilson from? Let me see. Where was Jackie Wilson from?
Jackie Wilson was from Detroit.
Oh, he's from Detroit.
He was born in the Detroit
drops.
1934.
Okay. Now Jackie was straight from the D. All right.
Pause.
Oh God. You know what? Don't do me like that. Oh man. So wait a minute. Okay. Yeah. But when it comes to the South, like I said, their contribution internationally, musically, can't be denied. They put their foot in it. They put their stamp in it. I want to talk about Otis Redding for a minute. And I want to talk about why Otis Redding never looked young.
You thought he was 45 when he passed.
Like, come on, man. Like, you talking about he was 26 years old when he passed? 26 where? Like, where?
He had a hard life before he died, bro.
Dog.
Gotcha.
He sung old. He looked old. Like, what the? Like, come on, man. You ain't gonna tell me that was a 26-year-old man. How did he fit that much life into 26 years? Owned his own record label?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, what? He owned a plane. Like, I'm like, I mean, Otis Redding he don't have a big catalog. He just kicked the door in so, you know what I mean, so hard that you couldn't deny it. But I'm like, 26 years old. He didn't make it to the 27 club.
Nope.
26? That's like the craziest shit I ever heard. And so Janis Joplin from Texas, Dirty South.
Mm-hmm.
And Janis Joplin was really, you know, she copied a lot of, you know, Otis Redding stuff, his style.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she incorporated a lot of his stuff into her music and in her stage show. Her stage show. So all that yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was like mad innovative at the time and shit. You know what I mean? That was like a hip hop. That was like and what
yeah. See, and I look, Bruce Hornsby in the Range, down south.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite songs. That's one of my favorite groups, man. That one fucking song made them my favorite group. That's just the way it is. That and Mandarin Rain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie Daniels Band. You used to listen to them.
Did I? I'm like, who?
Oh, shit.
I'm not sure if I listen to anybody named Charlie.
Charlie Daniels Band.
I like Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers. But I don't think they made it to the South. They ain't the South. They not South.
I mean,
but yeah,
the Barcades, you know, the group, the Barcades that passed away.
Yeah,
you know, they was from down south with Otis Redding. Matter of fact, I think it was only one member from the Barcades that survived that plane crash.
The Barcades go all the way back to Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
You know, with that low down Bobby Womack. that low down Bobby Womack.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about you. No, I think Bobby Womack might have been low down, but his brother was grimy. Just as grimy, boy.
Just as grimy?
Yeah, just as grimy. Matter of fact, they should have wrote a song about his brother called it Just as Grimy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of the most famous, the best. I mean, him and Patti LaBelle had some beautiful songs together, but no song can take away If You Think You Lonely. If You Think You Lonely Now. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, when I think of the beginning of that song and the beginning lines of that song, when he says, "And it resonates so much in my life. She always complains about the things she ain't got and the things her girlfriends got. But lady, I can be at two places at one time." Beautiful. I'm ready to put that on a t-shirt, son. I knew you was waiting for me to say that.
Well, I mean, you know, the rap part of a lot of songs, that got me wondering. I wonder if that came from the South too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I can't say, but I wonder. You know, all that talking before the song started, pretty much giving you the soul of what the song is about.
Yeah.
you know, made it easier for you to relate to the lyrics once the song actually got started. But I mean, Lionel Richie was killing that shit too. But a lot of cats was, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you gotta really when you say that Earth, Wind, and Fire was from down south.
Yeah.
Shit. As soon as you hear that shit, do you remember very first time September? Come on, man. This fucking group is deep,
Shoot,
Imagination.
I mean that by the time September came out, that's like when they was going pop.
Yeah, shit,
they early shit is Reasons, man. Reasons,
Imagination.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, listen, man. Listen, I don't think Earth, Wind, and Fire gets credit, but I don't think they give Philip Bailey the praise his flowers the way they should, man.
Mm-hmm.
They give Earth, Wind, and Fire and Maurice White the props, but I don't think they give Philip Bailey his flowers the way he need them.
I don't see how you cannot.
That's the truth.
You know, that's like not giving Eddie Kendricks his props. Like how you
Yeah. You know
I mean, he was killing shit.
I mean, shit, man. Listen, man.
Phil Bailey wasn't no joke.
Philip Bailey and shit. Even when he branched off and did the song "Easy Lover" with Phil Collins. Phil Collins.
Why would Phil Collins want to do a song with Phil Bailey if he wasn't like that?
Shit. And then that was a decent ass fucking song. You know, anytime you got black people singing that song, you know what I mean? That's some shit. She's an easy lover. She'll get a hold on you, believe it.
Wait, why wouldn't black people sing that song automatically?
Because it's the shit.
I said, why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't? That's the truth.
I'm saying, I'm saying it wasn't like no rock song or nothing like that. You didn't have to like choose whether you was gonna listen to that or nothing. It had that.
But you know the funny part about it, son. When Phil Collins went back to Genesis, he was a pop star. But when he was Phil Collins, they was playing him on black radio.
Yeah. And
you see what I'm saying?
Which is only right, because when those European, I'm telling you, those European singers, when you go to England, all you're going to hear is American soul music. You don't be hearing no rock music blaring and blasting out. I ain't hear none of that shit. I went to bars, clubs, and bowling alleys. What did I hear? Motown, Stax, and modern R&B. I ain't hear no rock. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, where do they play the rock music? They must play that out in the countryside in England or somewhere, but not in London. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me at all. Like you know, with Rolling Stones, they wanted to play with B.B. King. They wanted to play with Muddy Waters. They wanted to jam with the black blues and jazz bands. That's who they grew up admiring and wanting to play like and wanted to emulate. Same thing with Led Zeppelin. So with Phil Collins, it didn't surprise me at all that he wanted that most of his solo stuff was more R&B laced. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It wasn't. It definitely, there was a big difference between what he was doing with Genesis and what he was doing with with himself solo. But that was probably the same thing as you look at how different Lionel Richie's music was with the Commodores than what it was when he was solo.
Right.
So both of them Gemini. So you start to see a pattern here. Like, oh, now when I'm with my boys, this is what we do. But when by myself, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Marvina said, didn't the Beatles open for Little Richard? Yeah, Little Richard was like the king of rock and roll at one time. They say he invented it.
Yeah. And yes, Marvina, Beatles did open for Little Richard at one time. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, Little Richard he definitely got around. He was
And the thing about it, like he said on stage one night when he said nobody ever really gave him his props, and they never really gave that man his props. Without him, there is no James Brown. Or even when James Brown did get his chance, he wouldn't have got his chance nowhere faster without Little Richard.
Yeah, where the problem with Little Richard he was just a little too soft. You know what I mean?
I mean, his name was Sugar.
I'm just saying.
Soft. Oh, I forgot a group from down south too. My boy Silks. The group Silk, boy. The group Silk.
Yo, speaking of Silk, when I was doing my walk the other day when I was rapping to you,
yeah.
I walked past these dudes. They was blasting. You know, it was like they just had their car door open. They was blasting Silk. I was like, look at this shit here.
What song was it?
What's that? Lose Yourself.
That's my Lose Control, you mean?
Lose Control, my bad. Yeah, lose Control. They was blasting the shit out of that. You know what I mean? They was into it too. I was like,
we had an argument. Somebody was going through some shit.
You told me you love me. Yeah,
you told me you love me.
Yeah, they was blasting that shit. I was like, all right.
And who else would have knew anything about knocking boots if it wasn't for H-Town? They had a nerve to have a pair of Timberland boots on there, hitting it with a bat.
I never really understood. I never really understood how that meant having sex, knocking boots. I was like, what does that mean? Like when them New York cats was saying, yeah, we hitting skins. Like, hitting skins? What does that mean? What are you talking about?
Chainsaw Massacre? Gary Hynek?
Yeah, like hitting skins. I'm like, all right. I guess y'all got to do whatever y'all got to do in order to not curse.
Now, I can understand when Grand Poobah said hitting skins. You know what I mean? I can understand that. You know what I mean?
How was pussy skins? That I fail. It fails to compute with me. I just don't get it. Maybe one day when I'm older. Like, but yeah, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Hold on, let's since for tonight, people so quiet in the chat. Well, let's talk about the poll question. No, seriously, it's a good poll question. Can a relationship that was based on money turn into a loving relationship after a while? What are your general thoughts on that question? Did you hear it?
Say, just reiterate it again.
Can a relationship that was based on money turn into a loving relationship after a while?
I mean, in a poll question, I put anything possible.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything possible. You know what I mean?
Okay, so if anything is possible, in your opinion, and I really want to talk about this, what would make it possible?
What do I mean by anything's possible?
Yeah. What do you?
I mean that at any point in time, regardless of the money and everything, you know, at some point in time, you can develop a sense of caring, understanding, some parts of love. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there can be it could be. I'm not saying that it can be. You know what I mean? It could develop into a deeper version of a relationship.
Okay.
You know, it could. You know, or it can be stagnated, or you can run out of money and the relationship can be over. So I mean, that's why I say anything's possible. You know, I mean, I wouldn't recommend you get into a relationship and allow money to be the focal point, because then it's not a relationship. Pretty much, you're just you're a trick.
Well, there are a whole lot of people that are very fine with that arrangement, even if it's not put that way outright. So some people say that's just providing, you know. So, you know, there have been plenty of women who said they're not going to be with a man who don't take care of his woman, or don't, you know. Basically, it's a money thing anyway. That's why the other options mattered here. So 43% said no, gold diggers don't change. And I think that's fair. That's fair to say, you know. And but then another 43% said anything is possible, like you said.
Right.
And then 13% said it can if there is an attraction. And I think that's something that has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, but you also have to understand. See, when I say anything's possible, let's say you met in your 20s, if you met 21, 22, 23 years old, you know, and you in that relationship and it's based off of some type of money, you know, gradually as that man gets older and as that woman gets older, there's going to be a maturity that's going to come over them. You're not that 23 and 24, that 25 is, once they get 30, you're getting a whole new woman and a whole new man. You know what I mean? Throughout the years, a man changes his perspective and a woman changes his perspective. So I say maybe every 3 to 5 years, you're getting a different woman or you're getting a different man. So you never know what can happen in the midst of all that. And God forbid, if that's the case, and let's say you add children to that. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's a lot go along with that question. You know, yes, some gold diggers might not change. But at the end of the day, anything's possible because some of them can change. And the thing takes me out is that people think men can't be gold diggers. Men can be gold diggers.
Yeah, hell yeah, they can. They just don't call it. They call them gigolos or pimps or
give them better names. You know, give them better names, sexier names. You know what I mean? But yes, men can be gold diggers.
Well, when I think about a gold digger, I'm thinking about somebody that's in it for the short run. I don't normally think about somebody that's in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
So that's why I put in, you know, as long as he doesn't lose his job, because a lot of times, a lot of men have found out what their worth was to their women when they lost their job and they couldn't provide in the same way that they were before they had the job. They may have lost their job and didn't get the same kind of job again. So they just couldn't afford to do the things that they were doing before. So let's say you had a job making 6 figures. So you was doing 6-figure shit. And you lost that job for whatever reason. And now you back in the 5 figures.
Right.
You know? Now, depending on how far you was up on the 6-figure ladder, let's say you was making 200,000. Now you making 85,000. That's a hard hit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So you're not going to be able to provide in the same way as you were providing when you were at 200,000. So if you see that because you can't provide in the same way, now you're being treated differently, looked at differently, judged differently. It kind of lets you know what's going on, or where your real worth was, because somebody might not understand that you don't have it like you used to, so they still trying to spend in the same way. They don't understand, like them budgets are cut. We gotta, tighten our belts a little bit.
Shit, things change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing about it is that, and men and women, when you really dig deep into it, hopefully if you get deep into a relationship, you wind up getting married, follow them, listen to the darn preacher preach, and he tells you through sickness and in health, through rich or for poor, till death do you part. You go in front of God and he's running these down, and you're saying yes. Yes, I will marry you, and you're kissing, but yet soon as, and this is on both parts, men and women, soon as somebody dropped the ball financially, you ready to jump ship.
Well, see, you're talking about marriage. You might not be married. That's why I said in a relationship. If it was marriage, then we having a different conversation. But in the chat, Marvina said attraction can grow also. That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
That's why, and that's why I said if there's an attraction there, because I'm thinking that if you are dating somebody strictly because of the money, then you're not even looking for an attraction. It's basically just pay to play. Like I don't really get hard for you. I don't get wet for you. It's just, you're going to
that money.
Yeah, you're going to have to and dudes who trick, they okay with that. They're perfectly fine with it until it gets hard. Until things get hard, or when things change and you're really trying to connect with somebody, and you're thinking that, well, if I give her everything that she wants, then she'll start to see my worth, and then in a way you're thinking like I'll pigeonhole her into loving me, and she might not have that agenda.
Yeah,
she might not have that agenda. You might not be her only one either.
Yeah, read what Dimples D's just wrote down. Because I was thinking about that boy.
I don't know who that is.
Cool Breeze?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
He's a producer that had an album out, and he did a song with Goody Mob. He did a song with Goody Mob and Outkast. It was a decent ass song though. They did a video based off of what was that movie? Damn, I forgot the name.
Now you was over here talking about, who did you say created the term Dirty South?
Nelly.
And he didn't. And she talking about Cool Breeze created. No, neither one of them created that. Jodeci was calling the South the Dirty South on their first album. So that was 1991. So
what he called it, but it didn't resonate until Nelly.
He didn't create it.
Well, right, he didn't create it.
He didn't popularize it. None of that.
Just did popularize it.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. It was just you who was paying attention now. It was like you could hear it. He didn't create it. He didn't popularize it. None of that shit. He ain't even from the South. So no, the Dirty South was they've been saying that the Dirty South. Let me see. Let me see what Google says about the Dirty South. Let me see. Where did this term Dirty South come from?
According to CUNY, introduced in a 1995 song by the Atlanta.
They talking about some introduced in 1995 by the Goody Mob. Get the fuck out of here.
Might have been. Hey, see?
They wrong too. Like if I heard it 4 years before then. So that's the same thing as saying Michael Jackson invented the moonwalk. No, the fuck he didn't.
No, he didn't.
You know what I mean? No, he didn't. Yeah, that's the first time you saw somebody do it, but it might not even be the first time you saw somebody do it.
So who invented the moonwalk?
Huh?
Who invented the moonwalk?
All I know is we was popping and locking in 1981. We was moonwalking. And it wasn't, and Michael Jackson hadn't done it yet.
He seen Jeff Daniels from the group Shalimar doing it.
He definitely did do that.
Right.
He did.
But he also seen Bob Fosse do it. There's a lot of shit that he got from Bob Fosse, boy.
Well, he might have went to New York and saw some break dancers, some poppers and lockers doing it, because that's who invented it.
Studio 54, because you know he was up in there.
I'm not giving them credit for that.
Okay. So they say Goody Mob.
Yeah.
Google said Goody Mob, so I got to follow what Google said. We both wrong now.
I'm not wrong. You know what I mean? They did not create that fucking term in 1995. I heard the term 4 years before that. You talking about something like what?
Okay, I'm gonna ask Google who popularized it then.
That's what I asked them.
Okay.
I said where they come from. And they talk about the Goody Mob. So yeah, Google just turned into Wikipedia.
Who popularized the term Dirty South? Goody Mob. And the producer Rico Wade. Y'all rest his soul.
No.
Go ahead, Goody Mob. Y'all proved both of us wrong.
No. I knew it wasn't no damn Nelly and wasn't no Cool Breeze and ain't none of that shit.
And Devil's D said Bill Belly created the moonwalk in 1940.
I'll go for that.
Okay. See, Devil's D, you showing your ass off, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for putting me in my place and son in this place about Dirty South too.
Marvina said Google is wrong at times. Yes, it's definitely wrong this time. Dead wrong.
Listen, it said the term Dirty South was coined by Atlanta rapper Cool Breeze. Devil's D just brought his name up.
I can't.
Brother, man, that's the song.
I can't. I don't even know who Cool Breeze is, and now I'm happy that I don't. You know what I mean? Normally I like to know things, but sometimes.
96 single titled "Dirty South." He had a spell span. Oh my God! Hey, can't make this shit up, son.
Oh boy.
we went to cousin Google and they gave us the right people.
Shit, in 1995, I didn't even know who Goody Mob was. I didn't. I mean, you gotta think. I mean, shit. Outkast came out what, 94? I ain't know who Goody Mob was yet.
They stayed on BET. They stayed on BET, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, I ain't. They made some alright stuff. I ain't really like.
I mean, I wasn't a big fan, but I mean, they stake their claim on hip hop history. Atlanta hip hop history. You see, I switched that up. Atlanta hip hop history. I know you're going to curse me out.
Well, I mean, Atlanta, it was seemed for a while seemed like it seemed like it was separated from the rest of the South.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Shit.
But I didn't care at the time. So,
yeah. I mean,
as far as hip hop is concerned, I'm like, I mean, but you had Master P and them doing their thing down south. You know what I mean? Of course, and Cash Money. I mean,
Master P ain't do nothing but force feed us bullshit because them raps he was writing was corny as shit. Some of them, man. The three brothers, yeah, they wasn't really good rappers. Yeah,
but they had other people that would.
No, I mean, even though Mystical is up there with R. Kelly now, doing 20 years.
No, he worse.
He's a fucking fool, bro.
He's worse. He's worse. The most tragic. He's amongst the most tragic stories in hip hop ever.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, and if he don't get it, he gonna take it.
That's the truth.
Boy, got a problem, man.
You're a millionaire.
It's a disgrace.
Right. You mean to tell me you could have went to Vegas to the Bunny Ranch and paid for it?
And he a Desert Storm vet. Like, what a disgrace. What a disgrace.
Oh, my God. He can't even get the flag over his casket if something happened to him.
I don't know what's going to happen to him.
Well, right now, he's 20 years doing a 20-year bid.
Yeah, well,
God dang. And his son sounds just like him rapping. You know what I mean? But
more power
it's just crazy. What'd you say?
I said more power to him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it, man. Yeah. I don't get it. It's the R. Kelly curse all over again. They kept letting you skate. They kept letting you skate. They kept letting you skate. Let me say it one more time. They kept letting you skate. And you didn't know what to stop. What is it, addiction?
When you think you in the right, you gonna push the envelope.
Well, if you think you're in the right, you get ready to go wrong. Now go in there and try to rape one of them boys in prison.
I think he likes women. That was kind of like the problem.
Well, he get ready like man women.
Well, he been locked up for years, so.
And that's another thing. If you want to keep getting locked up, right? Then you're not getting locked up because you commit because of just the crime. You get locked up because you got some boy you in prison knocking off, man. Come on.
Well, female prison guards give up ass in prisons now.
Yeah.
So you ain't got to suffer all the time. They will do it. It's somewhere happening right now at this hour, this very minute.
Right now, somebody might be hearing us talk about it right now.
Just saying. People get caught up in every line of work, and that one is not exempt.
No, it's not.
You got prison nurses that then got caught. This is fucking ridiculous. But hey, it is what it is.
I've heard plenty of stories from some bulls that was locked up that was knocking some of them off. So yeah, I mean, it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
It can be done. You know what I mean?
Look, you staring down the barrel of 15, 20 years. I think it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
What do you have to lose? You know what I'm saying?
Either that or some strong ass forearms.
I'd be like, man, please let Officer Chrissy come to work today. Please, Chrissy, come to work. Please. I know, don't take none of your PTO time. But yo, man, let's get on the body. get on up out of here.
PTO time.
All right, we done. All right, man. We're going to do these birthday shout-outs and get on up out of here.
Everybody in the chat, blessings, love, peace, and chicken grease. Be safe, stay hydrated, stay safe. Make sure you take care of them babies. I always gonna mention them kids. Make sure y'all cover them and make sure y'all be part of that neighborhood. And stay safe, man.
All right, man.
Much love to you, bro. We'll talk.
Much love.
All right, fam.
All right, peace. Good looking out. Try. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious. Last day of July 31st, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They get number one out the box. Afia Alexis, and also Kendra Loves Teaching, Teron Harris, Cecilia Lesman, Algina Johnson, Cheryl Newton, Wanda Walker, Doris Williams, and last but not least, Zachary Marcus Cesar Harris. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all, and I hope that today finds you all in good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious July 31st, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on it, do the damn, to rock out. Rock on it, do the damn, rock out. Rock on it, do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, okay, so we finished the Dirty South. To me, y'all was a little light tonight, but it's okay. It's okay. Next week, we can either do the East Coast or we can do the Midwest. So y'all can make the decision. Which one is it going to be? What do y'all want to do next Friday for the music show? Because we still have 2 regions left. So are we going to do the Midwest or are we going to do the East Coast? Let me know. If y'all don't let me know right now, then I'll let y'all know next week. That's how that'll go. So let me know. Clay says do the East. Okay, thank you. Yes, let's do the East. Yay, East. Oh, damn. Dipple said Midwest. Oh, no. I mean, okay. Sheesh. Well, we need a tiebreaker. We need a tiebreaker. Speak now or forever do the East. I mean, or forever hold your peace. What up, Clay? What's good, man? Thanks for coming through. I appreciate you. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. Love y'all right back to life. We will be back today. Today is in tomorrow. At 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure y'all come through for the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. Get some rest right now. And I'll be right back at you in the afternoon. Oh, well. Looks like we're going to have to do the East next week. All right, y'all. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Holla. Peace, y'all. Have a good night.